I always thought trust was the most important part of love. That's why, when my wife started working late nights with her colleague, the one she called her work husband, I tried to stay calm. At first, I'd joke about it. I'd say things like, "Don't let him steal my place." And she would laugh, brushing me off with a kiss on my cheek before grabbing her laptop bag and rushing out the door. But soon, her late nights became routine. Her phone, once left openly on the table, was always tucked away in her purse. The few times I glanced at her screen, it was filled with his name, with little jokes, inside references, and long messages about projects they were working on. One evening, while she was getting ready for another late meeting, I finally asked, "Is there something going on between you two?" She froze for a second, turned to me with a calm smile, and said, "You're being paranoid. He's just my work husband. That's what everyone at the office calls him." I wish you trusted me more. Her words stung. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe my own fears were making me see something that wasn't there. So I nodded and said, "You're right. I should trust more." But the truth is, I didn't trust her. I trusted my gut. That night, while she left for her meeting, I sat alone in our living room, scrolling through contacts until I found the number my friend gave me months ago, a private investigator. My hands trembled as I pressed call. A part of me hoped he'd find nothing, that it would prove my paranoia and I could apologize for doubting her. But another part of me needed to know I wasn't crazy. For days I waited. I barely ate. I barely slept. Every time she walked through the door smiling, hugging me from behind and asking how my day was, I felt my heart clench with guilt and anger all at once. Then, one morning, the investigator called. His voice was quiet. He said, "I have what you need. It's all in the envelope. Do you want it delivered to you, or to her work husband's wife?" At that moment, I realized the truth wasn't going to set me free. It was about to burn everything down. And that's where everything truly began. I sat there holding my phone long after the call ended. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would break through my chest. I kept thinking about his question. Did I want the envelope delivered to me or to her work husband's wife? I didn't even know who she was. I had never thought about him having a family too. In my mind, he was just a shadow standing between me and my wife, someone I hated without knowing why. But now, he was real. A real man with a real wife who probably believed all his lies too. That morning, I couldn't look at my wife properly. She woke up humming softly, wrapped her arms around me, and kissed my forehead before heading to the bathroom. I just stared at the ceiling, feeling my stomach twist. When she came out, dressed in her usual beige coat and black heels, she smiled brightly and asked if I wanted her to grab me coffee on her way home. I nodded, unable to find my voice. She didn't notice. She was too busy texting someone, her fingers flying over her phone screen with a small grin on her lips. As soon as she left, I called the investigator back and told him to send the envelope to me first. I wanted to see it with my own eyes before anything else happened. The wait was the longest day of my life. I sat by the window, watching the cars pass by. Every noise outside made me jump. Every hour felt like a lifetime. I kept thinking about how we met, back when we were both young and broke, dreaming of traveling the world together. She used to leave me little notes in my lunchbox. She would write, "Can't wait to come home to you tonight," or, "You're my favorite part of the day." I wondered when all that changed. When did I stop being enough for her? By the afternoon, a courier van stopped in front of our house. The driver handed me a thick brown envelope. My hands felt cold as I held it. I sat down on the couch and just stared at it for a long time, too afraid to open it. Part of me hoped it was all a mistake. That there would be nothing but photos of her working late in her office, exhausted but honest. But deep down, I already knew the truth. I could feel it in the heaviness in my chest, in the way my fingers shook as I finally peeled back the flap of the envelope. And what I saw inside, it changed everything. Inside the envelope were dozens of photos, each one sharper than the pain I felt in my chest. The first few showed them leaving their office building together, walking side by side, their heads close as they laughed about something I'd never hear. Then there were photos of them at a quiet cafe, tucked away in the corner where no one would notice them. Her smile was different there. Softer. More relaxed than the one she gave me at home. She was wearing the same beige coat, her hair tied up neatly, but in those photos she looked free. Like she wasn't hiding anything with him. I flipped through each photo with trembling hands. There they were, sitting together at a restaurant table lit by candles. His hand rested on hers, and she didn't pull away. There was another photo of them leaving the restaurant, his arm around her waist as they walked down the street like a real couple. Then the final few photos cut straight into my soul. Him unlocking a hotel room door, her standing beside him, looking up at him with eyes full of something I hadn't seen in a long time. They went inside together. The door closed behind them. That was it. My mind felt heavy and blank all at once. I placed the photos on the table and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I remembered the day she told me she got this new job. She was so excited. She said it was the beginning of something big for her career. I'd hugged her tight, telling her I was proud of her. I didn't know I was hugging the woman who would soon start lying to me every single day. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to rip every photo to pieces so none of it would be real. But no matter how much I wanted to deny it, the truth was there in glossy paper and silent images. I wondered about his wife. Did she have any idea? Did she spend her evenings waiting for him to come home too, making his favorite dinner, thinking she was the only one in his heart? I felt a strange mix of anger and pity for her. The Investigator had included a short note. It said, "Let me know if you want a second set sent to his wife." I sat there in silence, thinking about the woman who shared the same pain I was feeling. And for the first time since seeing those photos, I didn't feel alone. But I knew that once she saw them, her life would break apart just like mine. And deep down, I wondered if it was cruel, or if it was justice. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying every moment of our marriage in my head, trying to see where it went wrong. Was it when I started working longer hours to pay off the house? Was it when we stopped going on trips together because we were saving for the future? Or was it always there, a quiet part of her that never really belonged to me? She came home late again. I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the cold cup of tea in front of me. When she walked in, she looked tired but happy. She kissed my cheek and said, "Thank you for trusting me. Today was so hectic, I can't even feel my feet." I looked at her, really looked at her. Her hair was messy from the wind, her lipstick slightly faded, but her eyes were glowing. I wondered if he had kissed her before she left the hotel. If he told her he loved her. If she said it back. She didn't notice my silence. She took a quick shower and went to bed early. I stayed up, staring at the photos spread out on the table under the dim kitchen light. My mind was racing. I thought about calling his wife right then and there, telling her everything. I imagined her crying on the phone, her voice breaking with the same pain I felt. But I stopped myself. This wasn't about revenge. This was about truth. The next morning, I called the Investigator. My voice shook as I said, "Send the second set to his wife. Make sure she gets it." He replied calmly, "Consider it done." That whole day, I couldn't focus on anything. At work, I kept checking my phone, waiting for some kind of sign. When I came home, she was already there, cooking dinner like everything was normal. She told me about her day, about the meeting that went well, about how her work husband made everyone laugh with his jokes. I nodded along, feeling sick with every word. Late that night, while she was asleep beside me, her breathing calm and soft, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. All it said was, "I got the photos. Thank you." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would wake her. I put the phone down and lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, wondering what would happen when morning came. I didn't know if I was ready. But I knew her perfect little world was about to come crashing down. And there was no way to stop it now. The next morning started like any other. She woke up early, humming to herself as she got ready for work. She kissed me lightly on the forehead and said, "Have a good day, okay? I'll be late again tonight. Big presentation coming up." I just nodded, feeling my chest tighten. After she left, I sat there in the silence of our small kitchen, staring at the empty chair across from me. I kept thinking about the message I received last night. His wife now knew everything. I imagined what her morning must be like. Her tears, her shaking hands as she held those photos, her anger boiling with every glance at his face. I tried to go about my day as normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. My mind kept racing with questions. Would his wife confront him today? Would he tell my wife what happened? Would she come home tonight acting like everything was fine, or would she finally tell me the truth herself? By the afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. I called the investigator again. My voice was quiet as I asked, "Has there been any update from her side?" He paused for a moment before saying, "Actually, yes. She asked me to find out who sent her the photos. She wants to meet you." For a second, my heart stopped. I hadn't thought about meeting her. I hadn't thought about what I would say. I didn't even know her name. All I knew was that we were both living the same nightmare. I told him to give her my number. That evening, as I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the floor, my phone rang. It was her. Her voice was quiet, almost broken, as she said, "I just wanted to thank you. I don't know how long I would have lived in the dark if not for you." We talked for almost an hour. She told me how they had 2 kids together, how she always believed he was working late for them, for their future. Every word she spoke felt like an echo of my own pain. But then she said something that made my skin go cold. She whispered, "I don't think this was his first affair. And I don't think your wife is his only one." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small, my thoughts too loud. If what she was saying was true, then my wife wasn't just lying to me. She was part of a web of lies he had spun around many people. I realized then that this wasn't just about me and her anymore. This was bigger. Much bigger than I ever imagined. I sat there frozen, her words echoing in my mind. Not his first affair. Not the only woman. It felt like the floor beneath me was crumbling away. She continued talking softly, her voice shaking. "I think he's been doing this for years. Different cities, different women. I found old messages. It's like he has a pattern." That night, I couldn't sit still. I kept pacing around the house, my chest tight with anger and confusion. When my wife came home late, she looked tired and distracted. She barely noticed me standing in the living room staring at her. I asked quietly, "Did you have a good day?" She nodded without looking at me and walked straight to the bedroom to change. I followed her, my heart pounding in my ears. She turned to face me, surprised by my silence. "What's wrong?" she asked. I took a deep breath and said, "Does his wife know about you?" For a second, her face went pale. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came out. Then, almost as quickly, she composed herself. "What are you talking about?" she said with a nervous laugh. "Why would his wife? I sent her the photos." I interrupted, my voice shaking with anger. "She knows everything." She dropped her bag to the floor, her eyes filling with tears. "Why would you do that?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "You've ruined everything." Those words hit me harder than any confession. "You've ruined everything." Not "I'm sorry." Not "I love you." Just anger that her secret was out. She sat down on the edge of the bed, covering her face with her hands as she cried. In that moment, everything felt so clear. There was nothing left to fight for. But just as I turned to leave the room, her phone buzzed on the dresser. I glanced at the screen. It was a message from him. It read, "Don't worry. We'll fix this. I'll tell her about us tomorrow." My stomach twisted. Tell her? I picked up the phone and read the rest of the thread. My chest felt like it was going to explode. The messages weren't for my wife. They were for another woman entirely. Another woman he was planning to leave his wife for. Another woman who thought she was special. My wife looked up at me with tear-streaked cheeks, realizing what I'd just read. In that moment, we both understood the same bitter truth: either of us was his only secret. And that was the final twist neither of us saw coming. I stood there holding her phone, feeling a strange emptiness inside me. My wife sat silently on the bed, wiping her tears, but not saying anything. We both knew there was nothing left to explain. The truth was out, and it was bigger than either of us imagined. He wasn't just cheating with her. He was cheating on everyone. For a moment, I felt pity for her. She had destroyed our marriage for a man who saw her as nothing more than another secret to keep. I put her phone back on the dresser and picked up my bag. She looked up at me with tired, red eyes and whispered, "Where will you go?" I shrugged softly. "Somewhere I can breathe again," I said. "Somewhere I can feel like myself without wondering if I'm being lied to." She didn't try to stop me. She just nodded, as if she understood. I think a part of her knew this day would come. Maybe she never believed our marriage could survive what she had done. Before I left, I turned back and looked at her one last time. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said quietly. "But it was never going to be with him." She didn't reply. She just sat there, staring at the floor, lost in her own guilt and confusion. I walked out of the house feeling lighter than I had in months. The pain was still there, deep in my chest, but there was also relief. Relief that I didn't have to live in lies anymore. As I drove away, I thought about his wife and all the other women he had deceived. I hope they found the strength to walk away too. People like him never change. They just keep finding new ways to hide who they really are. That night, I checked into a small motel by the highway. I lay on the hard mattress staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that happened. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt free. Because sometimes, finding out the truth hurts, but staying blind to lies hurts even more. And as I drifted off to sleep, I realized something important. Trust isn't about closing your eyes and hoping for the best. It's about seeing clearly, even when the truth isn't what you want. Because only then can you choose the life and love you truly deserve.